Hello everybody! If you want all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 845, The Last Delivery. Intermediate. Daniel Harper checked the time on his phone as he sat in his small white van. It was already past 6 in the evening, and the sky above the town was turning a soft grey blue. He rubbed his eyes and took a slow breath. It had been a long day. He had started before sunrise, loading parcels at the depot, and since then he had driven through busy streets, narrow lanes, and quiet villages. Daniel was a courier delivery driver. He worked for a large company, but most days he felt alone. His job was simple: pick up parcels, deliver them, and move on. He met many people, but only for a few seconds at a time. A quick hello, a signature, and then goodbye. He looked at the small screen again. One last delivery. The address was unfamiliar. It was on the edge of town, near an old road he did not use often. Daniel sighed. He wanted to go home, eat something warm, and sit in silence. But work was work. He started the engine and drove on. As he left the town centre, the streets became quieter. Street lights flickered on one by one, casting long shadows on the pavement. The road grew narrower, with trees on both sides. Daniel followed the map carefully, turning left, then right, then onto a long, empty road. "This must be it," he said quietly. At the end of the road stood a small old house. It looked tired, with faded paint and a garden that had grown wild. A single light shone from a window downstairs. Daniel parked the van and picked up the parcel. It was small and light, wrapped in plain brown paper. There was no return address, only the name of the person receiving it, Mr. Leonard Briggs. Daniel walked up the path. The gravel crunched under his boots. He knocked on the door and waited. For a moment there was no sound. Then he heard slow footsteps from inside. The door opened just a little, and an old man looked out. His face was thin, and his eyes were tired but kind. "Yes?" the man said. "Delivery for Mr. Briggs," Daniel replied. "That is you, right?" The man nodded. "Yes, that is me." Daniel held out the parcel. "Please sign here." The man opened the door wider and stepped forward. His hands shook slightly as he took the small device and signed his name. Then he looked at the parcel, holding it carefully, as if it was something very important. "Thank you," he said softly. Daniel nodded. "No problem. Have a good evening." He turned to leave, but then the old man spoke again. "Wait," Mr. Briggs said. "Would you like a cup of tea? It is cold outside." Daniel hesitated. He was tired and he still had to return the van to the depot, but something in the man's voice made him stop. "Just for a few minutes," Daniel said. Inside, the house was warm but quiet. The furniture was old and there were many books on shelves along the walls. A clock ticked slowly in the corner. Mr. Briggs went into the kitchen and returned with 2 cups of tea. They sat at a small table. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "Busy day?" Mr. Briggs asked. "Yes," Daniel said. "It is always busy this time of year." Mr. Briggs nodded. He looked at the parcel again, still unopened. "You have not opened it," Daniel said. "I know what it is," Mr. Briggs replied. Daniel frowned slightly. "Then why not open it?" The old man smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Because it is the last one." Daniel did not understand. "The last one?" Mr. Briggs took a slow breath. "My daughter used to send me a parcel every month, always something small, tea, books, photographs. She lived far away, so this was her way of staying close." Daniel listened quietly. "She passed away last year," Mr. Briggs continued. "But before she died, she arranged for these parcels to keep coming. One every month. Today is the final one." Daniel looked at the small brown parcel on the table. It suddenly felt much heavier than before. "I see," he said softly. Mr. Briggs picked up the parcel but still did not open it. Each time one arrived, it felt like she was still here, just for a moment. But now, this is the last time. The room was silent except for the ticking clock. Daniel felt something move inside him. All day he had carried parcels from place to place without thinking. To him they were just boxes, but to others they could mean so much more. "Would you like me to stay while you open it?" Daniel asked. Mr. Briggs looked at him, surprised. Then he nodded. "Yes, I would like that." Carefully, the old man opened the parcel. Inside was a small box. He lifted the lid, and inside was a photograph and a handwritten letter. Mr. Briggs picked up the photograph first. It showed a younger version of himself standing next to a smiling woman. "My daughter," he said quietly. Then he opened the letter. His hands shook as he read. Daniel looked away, giving him privacy. After a few moments, he heard a soft sound. When he looked back, he saw that Mr. Briggs was crying, but he was also smiling. "She says goodbye," Mr. Briggs said, "and she thanks me for everything." Daniel did not know what to say, so he simply sat there. After a while, Mr. Briggs folded the letter and placed it back in the box. "Thank you for staying," he said. "I am glad I did," Daniel replied. Daniel stood up. "I should go now." Mr. Briggs walked him to the door. "You are a good man," he said. Daniel shook his head. "I just delivered a parcel." Mr. Briggs smiled gently. "No, you did more than that." Outside, the night air felt colder, but Daniel felt different. As he walked back to his van, he looked at the empty road, the quiet trees, and the soft light from the house behind him. He sat in the driver's seat for a moment before starting the engine. All day he had been rushing, thinking only about time and numbers. But now he understood something simple and clear. Every delivery mattered. Not because of the parcel itself, but because of the person receiving it. The next morning, Daniel arrived at the depot before sunrise as usual. The same rows of parcels waited for him. The same long list of addresses filled his screen. But this time, he looked at them differently. He picked up the first parcel of the day and held it for a moment. "Let's go," he said quietly. And with that, Daniel Harper began his route again, not just as a courier, but as someone who understood the value of what he carried. He never forgot the last delivery. If you learned a new word today, please make sure to subscribe so you can practice again next time. Vocabulary notes. Hesitate, meaning to pause before doing something, often because you are unsure or nervous. Example, Daniel hesitated. He was tired and he still had to return the van to the depot. Similar words. Pause, delay, waver, be unsure. Extra example. She hesitated before answering the difficult question. Unfamiliar, meaning not known or recognized, something you have not seen or experienced before. Example, the address was unfamiliar. It was on the edge of town near an old road he did not use often. Similar words. Unknown, strange, new, foreign. Extra example. He felt uncomfortable in the unfamiliar city. Flicker, meaning to shine in an unsteady or changing way, often going on and off quickly. Example, street lights flickered on one by one, casting long shadows on the pavement. Similar words, flash, glimmer, blink, shimmer. Extra example, the candle flickered in the dark room. Privacy, meaning the state of being alone or free from being watched or disturbed by others. Example, Daniel looked away, giving him privacy. Similar words, solitude, seclusion, personal space. Extra example, she closed the door to have some privacy while she worked. Parcel, meaning a package or box that is wrapped and sent from one place to another. Example, he picked up the first parcel of the day and held it for a moment. Similar words, package, box, delivery, bundle. Extra example, I received a parcel in the post this morning. Story written by ChatGPT and Steve UK. Image created by ChatGPT. To read, see all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.